Espol. Tenemos un panel distinguido que va a tener esta tarde una charla dirigida con ustedes. Justamente ellas vienen de visitar el Parque Ajá y tenemos un proyecto con la doctora Yves Marineger que se parece, pero quisiéramos exponenciarlo muchísimo más. Le quisiera ceder las palabras a la doctora Cecilia para poder arrancar con el conversatorio.
Okay. Hola, ¿cómo están? Qué gusto verlas. A nuestras científicas de Espol y a nuestras politécnicas en STEAM también. Estamos aquí reunidas por primera vez. I want to start thanking Eva, Jean, and Nancy, and Cecilia, mi tocaya. I want to thank you because when we first met with Gloria and Rosalia, talk about of course, your distinguished husbands. I immediately asked, so who's coming with the husbands, the wives, and what do they do? And I thought, how enriched would this be for us to talk to the four of you, except Dr. Adam's wife couldn't make it. But it was also important, so I asked my colleagues and our students if they will love to sit and chat with you, and of course, this is what we got. Everybody excited, everybody dressed up, and ready to ask a lot of questions and to listen to your experiences. So I want to thank you again. I know it's been a long trip, and there's a difference in time zone, and we appreciate that you're still here with us. So thank you very much. So I'm going to switch to Spanish now. A ustedes, muchísimas gracias por el entusiasmo. Qué lindo ver una sala llena de mujeres con algunos hombres, científicos y futuras ingenieras y científicas de este país. En realidad, el conversatorio de hoy tiene algunas aristas, pero la más importante es que podamos intercambiar ideas y ver que al final del día pues somos seres humanos y tenemos multitud de temas, pero intercambiar ideas de cómo lo podemos manejar o cómo lo hemos hecho y cómo lo podemos hacer. Antes que nada, hoy Eva va a compartir con nosotros su trabajo, su pasión y lo que ella hace, que es trabajar con niños y emocionarlos en ciencias, que para nosotros, como lo acaban de ver ellas, es tan importante porque es el presente y el futuro de un país como el Ecuador, donde la ciencia siempre es la diferencia entre la vida y la muerte. Así que para nosotros es un gran placer. Y además agradecerle a Cecilia, que está aquí de maestra de ceremonias. Yo estoy aquí sentadita simplemente para tomarme la foto, pero ella es la que va a hacer todo el trabajo fuerte de moderar y poder compartir con ustedes las experiencias también que ha tenido ella. Así que bueno, muchísimas gracias y con eso, no sé, te doy paso a ti, creo. ¿A Eva?
Okay, I thank you very much for this nice introduction and for the invitation to Escuela. And I'm looking forward really to see this, for me, a secret place, the Galapagos Islands. I'm really, as a biologist, or more or less a biologist, I'm really, really very, very curious to see this place of the early Darwin investigations. Okay, I'm not quite sure whether I should tell you something about myself, but maybe I just briefly introduce myself. I was trained as a scientist, and I was already, I had my PhD, it was already successful, and I was looking for a position as a postdoc. And okay, in those days, it was in the 70s of the last century, don't count my age now, everybody went to the United States for a postdoc position. I am normally a very, very encouraged person, but going alone to the United States in a place I do not know, this was not, I think, this was not the best idea. And I knew we are in Göttingen. Göttingen is a very famous university, and it has all subjects in science, very, very prestigious scientists, and the Max Planck Institutes. And I was so much interested in working with artificial membranes. This was one of the big goals in those late 70s. And I decided to go to the Max Planck Institute for biophysical chemistry, and was working with artificial membrane and put in this membrane an enzyme and hydrogenase, so to solve the energy problem we still have today. But what happened was that next door there was a young man working, doing his research. And it comes to the truth, what somebody told me before, when you go to the Max Planck Institute, you won't find a boy who is, or a young scientist, who is not already married. I never was thinking about looking for former husbands there. Not at all, you know. I was not thinking about a family. It happened. And so Erwin and I, we got married in the late 70s, and and I continued my career. Of course, I wanted to become a famous scientist. What else? I gave birth to the first child. He is now a very famous epidemiologist, trained as a theoretical physicist, and he is in Switzerland a professor at the University in Basel. Okay, I went on with my work, with research, and we had a lady who was looking after our son for daycare in Germany. Was absolutely not known in those days. No, a mother has to stay at home. Old traditional behavior. Okay, I had the second child, and then we have a girl coming at home, looking after these two children. But what happened was that I got more or less homesick. That was one thing. Then I got a position at the university, and I had my boss or chef, he was convinced that a scientist has to be in the lab for at least 12 hours a day. That was the rhythm I was used before as well. Working, no work-life balance as it is today, practiced by the young generation. No, working was the number first. And, okay, but this was difficult. This was really difficult. And so I decided to have a third child, and then went home, stay home with the children. I enjoyed it. It was nice. But with the years, I figured out, even having 3 children, even having built one house or remodeled one house, it is not turning into a lab. Nothing. So 2 more children, at least we had 5, but it was no lab. I was not really satisfied. I was happy, but I'm very, very well organized in my life. And so I had maybe plenty of time. You will not believe it, with 5 children, but I had time. I had a lady looking after the house, I had somebody looking after the children, and okay. I was really very unsatisfied in those years. But then it happened that I realized that, no, before it happened that my husband was honored with a Nobel Prize. That was in 1991. Pooh, I thought, okay, back to research, back to the bench. How should I start? Nobody will accept me. There is a gap of about 10 years now. Nobody will accept me. And then my husband said to me, you should apply. Just try, you should apply. And I said, okay, I will apply at your department for a scientific position. Never ever this subject was of any importance. We never touched this point. And so I turned I was struggling, I was looking for. I was open-minded, I looked for everything. I looked for, and what happened in those days was that I heard about the need that young students should apply, should go for a scientific career, and that they lost interest in science. And I was, on the one hand, angry about it, on the other hand, sad about it. Then there was a big discussion about GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Everybody was afraid. No, and it's horrible, and it's really, you can't do that. There were many scientists, very prestigious professors, who went to the audience and invited the public and were talking to them. But what happened? The audience, they listened to the professor, but then they left the lecture hall, turned around and said, I stay with that, what I believed before. And for me, it was absolutely clear. These people, these adults, had never, ever had the chance to learn about modern science, modern molecular biology. They haven't heard about it. It wasn't taught at school in those years, in those decades. And I started to think about teaching young students the recent results in biology, physics, of course not by me, chemistry. And so this was the idea to start with the X-Lab. And I wrote down a proposal. The politicians were very, very much interested in this project and asked me, please write down, give it to us. We want to hear more about your ideas. And then it was so suddenly, so rapidly, that the minister said, and the prime minister said, we have to go with this project as soon as possible. And the Minister of Science said, we have to build the X-Lab. This was in 2000. We already started in 1999. And when he said, okay, we have to build the X-Lab, I said to the minister, aye, sir, I will do so. He gave me the money. It was just 5 million euros. In those days, we still had D-mark, not euros. And we started. And we moved in the building in 2004, but we started with all the activities already in 1999. And we had students from the area, but mostly from all over Germany, from all over Europe, and worldwide. And this is a story I will show you now with the help of my my slides. Maybe I will go through in from one slide to the other very fast, for most of them are only images, which should show you what we are actually doing. So, and since I like to move while talking, I am not sitting there and just talking to the microphone. I want to talk to you and to see your eyes. So, okay. Now there is the title, Teaching Science in a Research-like Environment. XLab as a model for experimental laboratories for young people worldwide. Okay, this is the building, and this building is nicely equipped to, according to these words, teaching science in a research-like environment. We do not concentrate on young students. Of course, you have to start with the very young students, but step by step, you should continue, and in the end, with the laboratories which are equipped in this excellent way, this should be only for the old students, for those who are ready to choose their science subject. Okay, why XLab? Many people never understood what it means, but it's so easy. X and lab. X comes from experimental, and lab, of course, from laboratory. And what is the main goal? The main goal is to inspire young people to take up a career in science. Okay, and now I have to go to my computer and start this video. And after no. You have to go. Okay, that's it. This already summarizes more or less everything. Can we shut down the light a little bit?
In a whole new direction. The experimental laboratory on the campus of the University of Göttingen bridges the gap between school and university. Its courses are aimed at young people from all over the world. By doing hands-on experiments, they develop a deeper understanding of science.
Can we?
I like the fact that we do a lot of experiments in quite a short time, because the experiments that we're doing here this week in this course, this amounts to one semester's worth of experiments at our school.
The S1 Genetics Lab presents a good example of XLab's high-tech equipment. Students in the molecular biology course work in a real laboratory setting. An opportunity that is eagerly welcomed.
I have like 3 months vacation, so I can go to the beach, I can spend time with my friends, and I can also go to this camp, so why don't you go?
He's from Barcelona.
XLab organizes international science camps every year. 3 weeks of physics, chemistry, and biology courses from which the students can freely choose. Universities, colleges, elite schools, and talent development programs send their students to stay at XLab for 1 or more weeks. XLab thus prepares the young elites from around the world for a scientific career.
Learning how to work in a team and learning how to work in a lab for a whole day, how to design an experiment, how to prove a hypothesis. This is very, very important. And for most of the students, it was an important step when they applied for university later on.
The students learn the basic techniques of research in all fields, such as transferring DNA into plant cells using a gene gun, as we see here. The priority is always understanding through active participation.
Instead of learning the formulas, we are just learning the basic things, and we can use our knowledge by conducting some experiments. So it is very useful.
In neurobiology, tasks include recording signals from nerve cells. The students work with the exact same instruments as used in real research laboratories. One important lesson they learn is that scientific experiments don't always succeed on the first go. One needs tenacity and perseverance to be a scientist. XLab is therefore a perfect place for the students to discover which field they find the most fun and motivating to study.
Put it down to -50, please, with holding current. No, holding current.
I think you learn best if you do it yourself. So if you really touch the stuff, get it into your hand, and really try to figure out the problem by doing it. And therefore, I can really say, if I would have had the possibility to visit a laboratory like this when I was a student, I would have enjoyed it hugely. And I think that's the biggest invitation I can say.
Courses include visits to partner research institutes and outdoor excursions. These ecology students are out on a lake to study the ecosystem.
Very precise. It measures 400 to 700 nanometers wavelength, exactly that wavelength range that plants can use.
Like real researchers, the students work at real research sites, say in a forest or at a lake or river. They learn that ecology is less about romantic ideals of nature and more about understanding all the interactions in the biotope. Back at the XLab, they return straight to the bench to analyze their collected samples. The chemistry courses delve into topics such as reaction kinetics, dyestuff chemistry, and electrochemistry. The students isolate antibiotics and synthesize medicines such as aspirin. More than 150,000 students have worked in the laboratories of XLab since its founding in 1999. In the physics courses, students are introduced to laser physics, for example, and gain an understanding of radioactive phenomena. The course level at XLab is always adapted to the current group. In fact, it is not only school students who learn at XLab, but also teachers. Both target groups deepen their knowledge of theoretical physics through practice. In this advanced learning course specifically for teachers, the latest insights in elementary particle physics are presented. For example, what implications do the experiments at CERN have for the Standard Model? XLab thus gives teachers the chance to continue learning in courses tailored specifically to their needs, and to gain new stimuli for their own classes. Scientists of the university, nearby Max Planck Institutes, and other research institutes cooperate with XLab to bring teachers up to date with the latest research. Aside from science and lab work, the teacher and student courses offer no shortage of social activities. It is the perfect occasion for participants to make acquaintances with like-minded people from around the world.
We have a lot of opportunities. We have excursions, we go somewhere together, for example. There are people from all over the world, from China, Ukraine, like from Spain. Oh my God!
We heartily invite you to visit the XLab in Göttingen.
So, this was my short video, and now you might will excuse that I go ahead a little bit faster, since the video already told quite a lot of details. So, this is a map of not only Europe, but Europe is in the center, and you might know this is a country of Germany, and Göttingen is quite in the middle of the country of Germany, and the XLab is in the middle of this medieval town. The town has only 120,000 inhabitants, and the university started in the medieval center in 1737. So all the institutes were there, and then by time they moved out of the city and many, of the center of the city, and many university campi were created. Okay, so what is the XLab? I will first tell about the program, ideas and concepts, the programs, international, alumni, evidence, and some visions which I still have. Okay, there is the science campus of the university. It is only 10 minutes from the center of the town, so we are all in the area. And here, when I was asked that the building was built, the minister asked me, where should it be built? In the city or outside? No, I said, there is only one place where the XLab has to be built. No, there is only, there we are, in the middle of the science campus, so that we can cooperate with all the research institutes and that the scientists can come in. They won't go to a far away place. This will waste their time. So here is the XLab. There is the faculty of Department of Chemistry, Department of Physics, Department of Biology, Microbiology, Forestry. There is a German primate center, and meanwhile there is a huge Max Planck Institute for Solar System Research, and here down here is the Department of Geosciences. So we are in the middle, and this is the building. And the building has a very, very interesting architecture. This is the result of a competition, of an architectural competition. And we have, can we shut down the lights again for it is much? No. Okay, wonderful, thank you so much. So we have one floor for physics, for chemistry, for biology, and the fourth floor is for neurophysiology, and on the top, and this is the interesting thing of the construction, this is a hanging house. The house has 4 pillars, and on the top of the pillars there are these concrete beams, and the house is hanging on iron strings. And in between there is a plastic covered roof which is filled with air. So all is experimental, the building as well. Okay, and here just to show you briefly, we achieve professionalism through cooperation with all research institutes. And these are the different faculties or departments of science in the area, but also some institutes, several Max Planck Institute, which are all very, very close to the XLab. Okay, the idea and concept, so the mission is to bridge the gap between high school and university. It takes decades from the recent research knowledge to the curricula at school. Decades. And this we have to overcome. And we have to prepare future students for the university studies. And so this cannot be done in each single school. And therefore we have this central institution to make this possible. Okay, the concept is providing hands-on experiments. So the students are doing everything by themselves. There's, of course, sometimes we have to have some demonstration, because there are some very, very, very expensive machines which we cannot provide for everybody. But in principle, the students are working and not listening, not just learning from the textbook. This is not according to the concept. Okay, the hallmarks are professionalism, interdisciplinarity, and internationality. Professionalism is achieved by the quality, by the nature of the teachers. The lecturers, I don't call them teacher in the sense of we use normally in Germany. The lecturers, they are all scientists. They are all experienced scientists. But they are no longer so active in research. But they have a passion for teaching their knowledge and bring their knowledge to the younger generation. Those lecturers are the very best for a project like this. Interdisciplinarity is achieved by the design of the experiments. You will pretty fast learn that it is not an experiment which comes purely from the physics area. It is not an experiment which is only biology. No. All science subjects are needed at the same time to work on research, on recent research questions. And internationality, oh yeah, there it is already. Internationality is achieved by something, not funny, but very ambitious. I was presenting the XLab project worldwide. And here are the dots which mark all the points in the world where I have been, mostly not once, but not. I had been in New Zealand meanwhile 7 times. So I presented the XLab everywhere to reach as many people, responsible authorities in education, and this shows to worked very well. So, okay. So let's go to the programs, and now I will hurry up. This is a typical ground floor of a building, of a floor. So we have a seminar room and a lab, and both are coming together. This is biology, the green one. Both are coming together. The students have some theoretical instructions, then they went to the lab, do some parts of the experiments, and then go back to the seminar room and continue theoretical working, more or less by themselves or guided by the lecturer. And this is the same principle which is realized in the other floors for physics, chemistry, and neurophysiology as well. Okay, so a long list of different experiments in physics. I don't go into details. And here are some images taken from the different courses in physics. Chemistry, a long list of different areas we cover. And again, students, these students are doing enzyme kinetics, and there are 2 students and they share just 1 photometer. Normally, in a regular school, maybe you have 1 photometer in the chemistry or in the biology department, and the teacher is working with this. And whenever the teacher is working with the machines, he has fun. The student don't have fun. And this is something I really wanted to change from the very beginning as far as possible. So biology, long list, so we cover really all subjects in biology. And there you can see students working with the real electrophoresis. And there are 2 students in an anatomy course. Anatomy is very much beloved, and many students who participate in anatomy courses decide to become a medical doctor. One medical doctor is here. This image was taken in 2013. And this is Hans Witte Pass. And he visited the German school in Guayaquil. And you will hear his voice and his message later on. He is still in Germany, or again in Germany. Okay, so experiments with plants, molecular experiments. Ecology, you saw in the film, and the lecturer you saw, he is a very experienced researcher in ecology. So he is very, very much engaged in all fields of ecology. Okay, in neurobiology, you also saw this is an experiment with the oocyte to measure membrane potentials. And this is experiments on the locust, on the visual system. And this is again our lecturer. And XLab International, okay, so science is international. And when you go to research labs like the Max Planck Institute, wherever, the lab language is English. The reason is that they are not just German scientists working, but they are mixed. They represent all different countries, all different cultures, and they work together. And this is something we want to practice already within the international science camps, which we offer every year only once. And the typical program is for about 36 students, 3 courses per week. And the students do not switch from one course to the other. They choose one course for the first week, another course for the second week, a third course for the third week. And so they have the possibility to choose also courses which are not already on their interest. So they shouldn't, if they are interested, for example, in laser physics, it would be a good idea to take a course in organic chemistry, for example. Okay, that will not be sufficient. Okay, but I will hurry up. Thank you for. Okay, so in the International Science Camp, we meanwhile had 770 students from around 50 different countries. And the next one shows the numbers of students coming from the different continents, different area. So from Spain, 360, South America, 25. I don't repeat all these numbers now. So it is really a great international picture which we have, just an image of such a big group. And here we have the total number of participants until 2017. Then there was a pandemic, and you can imagine what happened during the last weeks. And what you also can see here, we already reached our limits in 2006, and I was working, planning to have a new building, and hopefully we will start with this. The XLab alumni, I skip this, even though it's very important. This is one of the alumni students, and I just show you here that she went from Serbia over several positions and universities, finally to the USA, and she is now a professor at the USA in Stanford University. And there is Marina, and she came back to the XLab for our XLab alumni symposium. This was also 2017. So they talk now to the young students. And this is Hans Witte, and I hope I can start the video, and this is more or less the final message.
Buenos días a todos, mi nombre es Hans Witte Paz, yo nací en Guayaquil, Ecuador, estudié en el Colegio Alemán Humboldt, estudié mi carrera de medicina en la ciudad de Göttingen, en Alemania, y actualmente trabajo como médico en el servicio de emergencias en un hospital en Hamburgo. En el año 2013 tuve la oportunidad de visitar la ciudad de Göttingen por primera vez para un curso en el verano de 3 semanas en el XLab. El curso se llama International Science Camp e invita a diferentes estudiantes de colegios alrededor del mundo a pasar 3 semanas en la ciudad de Göttingen haciendo diferentes cursos en ciencias naturales. El X-Lab es un laboratorio para jóvenes que ofrece cursos a nivel académico o universidad en diferentes ámbitos, por ejemplo, biología, física, química y neurofisiología. Yo recuerdo que mis cursos fueron de química orgánica, anatomía y neurofisiología. Lo impactante e impresionante de estos cursos era que teníamos profesores de universidad para cursos de máximo 10 a 12 personas, estudiantes entre 16 y 20 años, de diferentes colegios o primeros años de universidades de diferentes partes del mundo. Conocí a personas de Corea del Sur, de Estados Unidos, de España, de China, de Israel, todos unidos bajo el mismo interés común de las ciencias naturales. A pesar de que yo no podía imaginarme una carrera en investigación, participé en estos cursos que me abrieron las puertas a mi carrera universitaria. Gracias a estas 3 semanas en Göttingen logré conocer la ciudad, donde después hice mi carrera de medicina. De no haber sido por la señora Ner y por ese instituto que ella fundó hace mucho tiempo, creo que mi carrera hubiera sido completamente diferente. Así que, en cierta forma, le debo a ella que yo esté donde esté aquí. Después de haber hecho esos 3 semanas de cursos de verano, hice una pasantía por 3 meses después de terminar mi bachillerato en el colegio alemán, que me ayudaron mucho a preparar mi llegada a Alemania. Tuve la oportunidad de acompañar diferentes cursos, asistir a los profesores en diferentes cursos y conocer la ciudad y el sistema académico alemán antes de ser parte de él. Así que solo puedo decir en retrospectiva que fue una etapa muy importante de mi vida y gracias a la señora Ner se me hizo mucho más fácil ingresar a mi carrera de medicina. Así que muchas gracias y muchos saludos desde Hamburgo a todos los presentes. Chao.
Thank you, Hans. Okay. So I still have a vision to expand the building, and with the foundation, X-Lab Foundation, we succeeded to buy this area here, and this is now going to be developed, and we are planning, the plannings are finished. We are just starting in November with the construction of the building. Okay, one topic which I had already in my in the beginning: model of future experimental laboratories worldwide. And there is, we start from the X-Lab, and there are, this is just a plan, just a possibility. But there is already an X-Lab in China, in Shenzhen, which is working, but I haven't seen it since 2.5 years. And the other one is in Rosario in Argentina. And the concept of X-Lab is actually so easy, so simple, that you just have to start in your place and copy the principle. It's not patented. So it's open, you can copy it very, very easily. Okay, and this is it. This is an image taken during the international camp, and there should be the flag of Ecuador. I don't know whether it's this one. It's at least similar. Yeah. Okay, so we decorate the building with all the flags of the different nationalities, and also on the other side. So this is the building, this is my story, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eva. Very nice to hear your personal history and professional history too. So thank you. Ok, ahora cambio al español. Quería presentarme rápidamente. Mi nombre es Cecilia Quindelán, vengo de España, de la Real Academia Europea de Doctores, y el motivo de que esté yo aquí, bueno, es un poco darles la palabra a ustedes, porque tenemos aquí con nosotros a grandes personas, primero, antes que nada, a grandes investigadoras, a grandes científicas, a grandes artistas, pero sobre todo mujeres. Mujeres que han vivido una experiencia por la que hemos pasado o ustedes van a pasar. Entonces yo quería cederles la palabra a ustedes para que tuvieran la oportunidad de preguntarles a las personas que componen esta mesa cualquier inquietud que les pueda ayudar a desarrollar su carrera profesional o su vocación científica. Yo ayer me levantaba y leía, las mujeres cada vez más están en el mundo de las empresas y pues parecía el tono de la noticia muy positivo y yo decía, sí, realmente nos están invitando a la fiesta, pero ¿nos están sacando a bailar? Pues llegué a la conclusión de que nadie nos está sacando a bailar y las que teníamos que salir a bailar éramos nosotras directamente. Entonces, sin más preámbulos, voy a presentarles a las dos personas que nos acompañan. Ellas dos han tenido la suerte, la fortuna de estar casadas con hombres estupendos que las han apoyado en su carrera profesional, del mismo modo que ellas han soportado la labor de sus maridos. Entonces, en primer lugar, yo quería presentarles y a la vez darle la bienvenida a Jean Roberts, que nos acompaña sentada. Jean nació en Estados Unidos, fue una afortunada, yo digo, nació en Nueva York. Ella nació con una creatividad espontánea y poco a poco fue formándose en disciplinas artísticas. Bueno, pues ella empezó a dibujar y le encantaba, siguió desarrollándose y al final, bueno, pues estudió, pensó en ser maestra, en ser profesora de dibujo, también lo ejerció, pero al final terminó, bueno, dedicándose a hacer dibujos para publicaciones científicas. Algo bastante curioso que yo le pregunté, sin ser cotilleo, perdóname, pero yo le pregunté cómo se conocieron y ella me dijo, nos conocimos en su laboratorio. Richard Robert, el premio Nobel, él trabajaba en un laboratorio cuando llegó ella como artista creativa, muy jovencita, con 20 y pocos años, y allí se conocieron y emprendieron una carrera de vida, una carrera científica, artística, pero al final un plan de vida. Entonces, Jean, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos y bienvenida y espero que, si lo deseas, puedas responder algunas de las preguntas de nuestra audiencia. A continuación, me gustaría presentarles a Nancy. Nancy también nació en Estados Unidos, también nació en Nueva York. Ellos han tenido una vida bastante paralela. Y también tuvo la suerte de compartir una historia de vida junto a un gran científico. Nancy empezó con una carrera de quiero ser maestra, quiero ser docente. Se formó, se preparó muy bien, lo ejerció y en el transcurso se dio cuenta de que eso no era lo suyo, que quería hacer otra cosa, que le gustaban los libros mucho y entonces fue a la facultad de nuevo y estudió biblioteconomía, se preparó bien y empezó a ejercer esta nueva profesión. Pasaron los años y entonces fue cuando ella descubrió su verdadera pasión, pasión por los libros y pasión por los dibujos. Ella es artista, tiene una creatividad infinita y hizo 2 maestrías para ver cómo se podían conservar mejor los libros y cómo se podían hacer dibujos e ilustrar esos libros. Esta mañana, en el debate que hemos tenido, veíamos cómo ciencia y arte, ciencia y diseño están muy unidos y cómo el diseño, la creatividad puede ayudarnos al resto de mortales a entender cuáles son estos avances, estos descubrimientos que están haciendo los científicos, que también es una parte muy importante. Sin más, tenemos a Eva con nosotros como directora del X-Lab. Por supuesto, tenemos a la rectora Cecilia, que también estará a su disposición para responder preguntas, y a las 2 personas que acabo de presentar, a Jean y a Nancy. Por lo tanto, ahora mismo el micrófono es de la audiencia y quien levante la mano, yo le cedo la palabra y a su disposición. Muchas gracias. ¿Alguna pregunta? Si no, yo arranco con preguntas. Muy bien, adelante. Uy.
Hola, buenas tardes por estar aquí en nuestra universidad, en esta cátedra hermoso que se llama Espol. Bueno, yo tengo una pregunta para Jean Roberts y, bueno, más que todo es cómo ha influenciado su vida unir sus 2 intereses, que es la fotografía y la psicología. Y asimismo, cómo ha logrado tener un equilibrio en su vida profesional y laboral. Muchas gracias.
Translate. Okay. Oh, okay, I can translate it for you. She is very interested about how can you combine your personal life with your professional life and the importance of psychology and what more did you say? Photography in your life, how affected?
It's on? No? Yes? You can hear?
Sure.
Okay, so I mean, combining all the different aspects that you speak about is quite easy because that's just my life. So that's what I know. And I think for everyone, you have things that you like to do and things that you have to do, and find a way to, you know, the best way possible forward to get as much fun along the way, combining them while still, you know, facing challenges. So I'm not sure about the psychology element of the question that you asked.
Regarding psychology, she said, yeah, how do you combine the professional life with the personal life?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to a regular job. And I think when you do artwork, I mean, I haven't been doing technical illustrating for many years now because my life, I'm older now and my children are grown, and you know, I'm fortunate enough that I can do what I like with my time. But when I want to be creative, I just stop and do it. Whether it's drawing, painting, cooking, gardening, talking, you know, it comes out.
Ok, muchas gracias. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Alguna otra curiosidad? Sí, aquí delante, Azucena, sí, en la primera fila. Ah, no, ahí. Okay.
Buenas tardes, no sé si me puede ayudar traduciendo. Buenas tardes, gracias por estar aquí. Su trabajo tiene que ver mucho con el arte y la ilustración y tuvieron la oportunidad de incursionar en ilustración científica, pero esa unión de lo que es la ilustración.
You understand it? No. No. ¿En el tú? Okay, we can do it. Don't worry. I will translate it. Yeah. So she's...
Está en el 2, pero súbele, no lo escuchan bien. ¿Puedes hacer la pregunta? Igual Cecilia.
¿Puedo?
Yes. Sí,
Okay.
por favor.
Tuvieron la oportunidad desde su punto de vista artístico poner en práctica tal vez muy temprano lo que es la comunicación científica sin que esto sea un tópico en ese tiempo. ¿Y qué grado de empatía cuándo ustedes pudieron identificar que desde su punto de vista artístico podían comunicar más al público que tal vez no estaba tan relacionado con los temas? Ese nivel de empatía, ese nivel de visión, esa colaboración que ustedes podían proporcionar, ¿cuándo fue que ustedes se dieron cuenta de que ustedes podían incursionar en este aspecto de la comunicación científica desde el punto de vista artístico?
So from your artistic point of view, when did you realize that through the designings you can communicate better the science?
I was born a certain way, you know, just looking at the world maybe visually, and I think that I've always been interested in science as well, not at the level to which
our husbands are involved in it, it's always sparked interest in me. And I think, as I conclude this, there's something about art and science that work very well together. So for me, it was just kind of out what I thought.
Well, I would. Can you hear? Yeah. Okay. I'd like to take a completely different turn. I am somebody who avoided the sciences in school. I took languages, and I took art, and I took one biology course. I went to college at Brown University. I studied art history. I took psychology for my science. And when I met Richard, I had no idea. I'd never met a scientist in my life, and there were no college professors in my family. My Polish grandmother came to America illiterate because the Russians didn't allow her to read, and my Swedish grandmother came as a maid. So I came from a family that was not academic. I did not meet Richard in the lab. I met him in a party when I was 22 and he was 24. So not all marriages have to have science as the communication, but there does have to be some chemistry between them. I would say the funny thing is that in my progression of my career, I ended up having to learn chemistry, and my last job was the chief conservator for the MIT libraries, and I ran a non-traditional lab. I ran a health and safety program, and I served on the disaster response team for both Harvard and MIT. So I learned the hard way how important science is. In my later years, I took chemistry, and what I would urge Eva to do is what I would say to Dick's students, and that is consider art conservation and add the science. I needed to know the science of water, the science of paper, how to deacidify paper. I treated paper and documents. So I learned science the hard way when I had children at home, and so I guess that's what I would say. I think learning lab skills are so important because I use my hands. I started as an artist. I became a conservator, restorer. I have 2 masters, but to do what I do, I had to do an apprenticeship in bookbinding. So there are wonderful avenues to science, and I should have been forced to take science in high school. I am happy to say one thing I have done successfully is raised feminist sons who, and I certainly would recommend that, one of whom said he didn't want to be a scientist because he didn't want to work the hours or as hard as his father. So what did he do but marry a PhD neuroscientist who is now a professor going up for tenure at Georgia Tech. So and this is a very lucky woman because he knows exactly what she's going through. So I guess that's my story, but I do think there, as Jean said, there's something that ties Richard and me together, and that is I thought our fields were at different ends. What I found is we both work with our hands, that scientists and artists are tremendously creative if they're going to be good. And I found over the years that our paths have come closer and closer together. So I am a great advocate of STEAM, adding the arts to STEM. So that's my...
Thank you. Por aquí tenemos en la tercera fila. Ah, Azucena, adelante. Igual mejor sin la máscara, te oímos. Sí.
Thank you very much. My question goes for, I think it's anyone can answer it. There are a lot of undergraduate students here, young girls. So I would like to know maybe a piece of advice that you can give to your younger self that we can all listen, whether it's about work life, motherhood, whatever path you want to take in answering this question. Thank you.
Okay, I can start, if you allow me. Okay, for me, the most important, en español, para mí lo más importante, el consejo que me hubiera encantado que me hubieran dado de muy jovencita es: la vida es larga, mira bien tus compañeros de camino. O sea, a la hora de elegir trabajos, a la hora de elegir pareja, a la hora de... porque pueden contribuir muchísimo en tu carrera o pueden restarte mucho. Entonces, ese es mi consejo, modestamente. Jean, can you use the micro?
I'm sorry, I'm very unused to this.
It's for you too.
Yeah, okay. Advice that I would give myself. I think you need to do what you want to do, because there's someone for everybody, and if you're going to get into a lifelong relationship, whether you are with a man, a woman, a pet animal, you have to be able to do what you want to do, and that other person should support you and encourage you, or at the very least allow you your freedom to do what you want to do. And if they don't, they're not the right person for you.
Eva.
Okay, an advice to you, young people, young girls, young boys, really choose the subject you are interested in. This is the best way you could do. Do not follow any mainstream. Just follow your own feeling and your own concept. And let me just add something which I forgot completely in my presentation, especially when I showed all the many, many points of the globe where I have been and presented the X-Lab. This, of course, is the result of being married to a Nobel laureate who is invited to all these places all over the world. I accompanied him, but I was never felt happy as accompanying women. No, not at all. I'm independent on my own with my own ideas, as you have learned. But he opened the doors, but I had to go through by myself. This was for me very important, but it could be that you thought that I was the only one who is so active. He has quite a lot of, I have to be very thankful to the opportunity which I could use.
Thank you.
Well,
sí.
Well, just to finish up, my advice would be kind to yourself, be flexible, and I'm someone who found a career that I was passionate about. It was the third career I had. So don't look at, well, I must be a professor by 34 or I failed. Life offers choices along the way. And what would I also say? Yes, Dick didn't get his Nobel Prize till he was 60, so there weren't many doors left for him to open for me. But wherever he went for a postdoc, I took advantage of internships. And so I think, yes, I think I've been lucky, but I think at the time I thought I was a failure because I was staying home self-employed with children. And yet I ended up heading labs at Harvard and MIT. So give yourself time, don't stop. You're a wonderful example of, I am too. I got my job at Harvard at 50, my job at MIT at 60. Life offers opportunities at every stage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Caroline Gaibor. I am a civil student, civil engineering student at Espol, and my question is for Eva. What would you recommend to students who want to carry out scientific projects but don't feel confident about carrying them out for fear of failure or rejection?
Could you repeat the last part of your question?
Okay. Who want to carry out scientific projects but don't feel confident about carrying them out for fear of failure or rejection?
Okay. Just try. Just try. And you don't have to be afraid. I think everything in the lab today is very, very safety. Just start with smaller experiments, but start. I think this is necessary to go ahead. Don't be afraid. If you are interested, you will overcome some anxiety.
I would just add, there's no science without failure. So if you want to do science, you're going to fail, but you're also going to succeed.
Yeah, okay.
I would add to, in my professional growth in the field of library conservation, participating in professional organizations was just critical. They offered workshops that they helped fund, but my network of colleagues who became friends were just so important. So don't stay so focused on the lab, your own lab, that you don't make the networks that allow you to move later.
Y una última pregunta para cerrar la sesión, porque por tiempo ya tenemos que finalizar. Allí, adelante.
My name is Pilar. I'm a professor here. My question is, well, you almost mentioned it, but what recommendation you will make to the young girls about not quitting? When you want to quit, what push you? Because all of us wanted to quit at some point, I think.
And what was your driver for not to quit?
My mom was really a strong influence. My parents were both very supportive of me. I don't come from a fancy background at all. My parents were blue-collar workers. My mother was a teacher and a feminist. And she just said to me, and my father said, you can do anything you want. You have everything you need right inside yourself. You just have to try. And as to failure, failure is a great thing because that's how you learn. Every time you mess up, whether it's a simple thing like mixing the wrong color of paint, or whether it's a complicated thing like your experiment doesn't work and you've spent months and months trying to get a result that's, you think you've got it, and then it doesn't work. You just have to be very, very tenacious and go back, If somebody else can be great, so can you, right? You have everything you need. You just have to be willing to take another step forward and try again. Always try again.
I think all of you are so far ahead of where I was at your age, because I did not have a mother to say go out and do anything. My mother said, be a nice girl, and you like children, be a teacher. And I went out and was a teacher, and only when I found I didn't like teaching did I move forward. And you've already are on your way to discovering your passion, and I congratulate you.
Eva?
The last word?
Yes. Do you want to add anything?
I think I already told too much.
Okay.
But there is one which I wish you all be and stay encouraged. Go your way to the future. Don't hesitate. Don't stop. And even as you just said just recently, if there is a stop somewhere, turn around and go to the other direction. This will be the next solution. I myself said that my life will be always in parts of about 12 years. And that was true in the end. And at the age of 70, I think I'm going into the last step of my life, the last part of my active life. I hope I will stay on Earth much longer. But, okay.
So. Thank you, Eva. So, muchísimas gracias a nuestras invitadas, Nancy, Jean, rectora, muchísimas gracias, Eva. Especialmente muchísimas gracias a la Universidad Espol, sobre todo a Azucena y a Lady, que nos han estado acompañando durante todo el día y nos han permitido una jornada muy agradable, y muchísimas gracias a todas vosotras que habéis estado participando activamente, y muchísima suerte. Hemos visto cómo la constancia es lo que nos va a dar como mujeres la excelencia, lo que nos va a dar la confianza para cuando veamos alguna dificultad no retroceder y no esperar a que nadie nos empuje, sino directamente, si no podemos, girar, dar una vuelta, pero continuar hacia adelante. Muchísimas gracias.